Hello, I'm making this video because it's a response to Bashar talking about the secret of reality. He says in that video that the age of limitation is coming to an end, and it's time for us to make a decision and choose which reality we want to experience, because there's an infinite number of parallel Earths out there. And he says the one that we experience is the one that's in conjunction with our belief system. Now, if that's a whole debate for another day, but let's make the assumption Bashar's correct with his knowledge about reality, because I mean that film The Secret, I've watched that and it really doesn't paint a full picture. It kind of says, you know, you'll like-minded people, well, you know, let's look at it. You gravitate towards people who are similar to you. It's pretty obvious. There is a law of attraction. There's a law of repulsion as well. You know, it's the way it is. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because, okay, let's assume Bashar's correct. Let's say the reality we experience is the one we believe we experience, which does seem to kind of make some kind of logical sense. Then if that's the case, then the conspiracy is the greatest conspiracy. Because if we sit here on our computers watching about Babylon, the Illuminati, Zionism, all this reptilian stuff, well, I don't know about them, but surely if we believe all this to be true, if we believe that Zionist bankers have control of the global monetary system, then we'll be, as Bashar says, germaine to the reality where that is the case. I don't want to live in the reality where Zionist bankers rule the world with fiat currencies, etc., etc. Now, in the reality I've been living, that has been the case. I'm sure many of you would agree with that, but the question is, where's the access point? Now, your belief system is the most fundamental thing, I think, because if we believe that this war machine, this war machine must have some, if there is a war machine, first of all, that machine isn't, if this pyramid war machine that's moving along, it must have some kind of spiritual touch to it. It has guidance from people. A machine doesn't exist on its own. You know, if you have a computer running on its own, a spiritual being has pre-programmed the code for the computer to do that. You know. So yeah, if we believe we are suppressed and in a prison of this Babylonian machine, and then you're exactly where they want you to be. So maybe consider this: all the videos exposing all this stuff is actually making you believe it to be true. If you believe it to be true, then it is true, because, you know, people say, oh, seeing's believing. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that's backwards. I think believing is seeing. I'm sure many of you have been able to demolish all the social conceptions by thinking about them. You know, they do all start to be demolished. Another one is money doesn't grow on trees. I'm sure someone who owns a banana plantation that is X 100 acres strongly disagree with you there. There's loads of them. You can pick them out, you know, but seeing is believing is not the case. You know, I'm a man of science as well. I don't think seeing is believing. I think quite the opposite. I think believing is seeing. So if we take the assumption, let's just assume Bashar is right in his video, The Secret of Reality. Say Bashar is right. Then the conspiracy is the conspiracy. That is the trap of Babylon. If you believe all that shit that they're posting on the internet, I mean, YouTube's owned by Google, which is probably owned by some other rich, whatever you want to call them, and why would they be releasing all these exposing videos? Why would they be telling us all this stuff? You know, it's... I'm just putting it out there, you know. I'm just putting the idea out there. You know, if Bashar is incorrect and we are stuck here in this reality, then these videos are exposing are good, because we'll be able to become more aware. But maybe our awareness of it is what's fueling the power of it. Because, you know, maybe if there is no out there and it's all here and now, then I don't know, I'm confusing myself heavily by making this video and talking about this. But that's my point. Essentially my point is, if Bashar is right, and that is the secret of reality, and our belief system is what creates the universe, our, as he says, giant TV of the universe, then we just need some highly, highly, highly positive belief system to experience the heaven on earth that we all really deep down want to see. We don't want to see any suffering. We don't want to see these disagreement. You know, I just want people's opinion on that. Think about it. You know, if you disagree with me, that's cool. I'm not bothered. If you agree with me, cool. It doesn't make a difference, because if he is right, and that is the secret of reality, then we need to stop watching all these videos. We need to actually just start believing. That's going to be hard to do, because I've watched all these videos out here. I've watched them all. There's nothing was a surprise to me anymore. So if you're in my position and you've recently discovered Bashar, let me know what you think, you know. Because I don't want to live in tyranny. You don't want to live in tyranny. I've never met you, but I know you don't want to live in tyranny. Tyranny is no good for everyone. The tyrants, you know, they're going to have to learn from their tyranny. You know, if judges, corrupt judges in my country, in America, police, want to sell their soul, there's nothing you can do about that. So, you know, what's the point? If Dick Cheney wants to be the most evil guy in the history of mankind, so be it. That's old Dick's choice. I don't know. It's quite hard to think about and digest, but, you know, tell me what you think about it, and please respond. Judge if you want. Judge if you don't want. I don't know. Do what you want with this information, but I'd like some other people's opinions, and maybe, let's just, I don't know. I'm gonna have to stop here, but thanks for watching. God bless.